And we are live. Mbibel, Mexican Grand Prix, a very weird and wacky FP2 session stands to come. It's ahead of us. It's going to get techie, I'll be honest with you. This is a testing session for the 2025 spec of car. Oh, the humanity. What are we doing here? Bloody Nora. FP1 buds who didn't get a session, being, of course, Sir Lewis Hamilton and others, are only going to have themselves 30 minutes. Remember, we were speaking earlier about building a session, building a race weekend. Never ever more than now has that come into play. Lewis Hamilton going to have himself 30 minutes. Charles Leclerc going to have himself a 30-minute of an FP1. All of a sudden, it becomes a sprint race weekend, though. One free practice proper. It is techie. I don't know what to make of it, I'll be honest. If 50 of you watching concurrently, what are you saying, F1 track time? Johan, Krakosaurus. Christian Horner now talking about invoking the right to review. There is new evidence, Christian. I don't know why there is new evidence. This is going to run and run, isn't it? Again, for the avoidance of doubt, people just joining. McLaren have invoked their right to review the Lando Norris 5-second penalty. You only can do this if indeed there is new significant and material evidence that's presented to you that wasn't available at the time when the penalty was handed out. The new evidence, as per 2021, Brazil was the front-facing onboard of Maximilian Verstappen's car, his steering angle. It's all important. I remember this is one of the things that kicked off this channel big time. I remember breaking down in real time the onboard of Maximilian Verstappen's steering angle into turn 4, Brazil 2021, lap 46 or whatever it was. It's techie. There is new and obvious evidence, is what I mean to say then. Whether the FI rescind the 5-second penalty, it would be controversial. You can't go back and, you know what I mean? You can't go back and do that. 57 points even is the differential between Messrs Verstappen and Norris. I do not expect them to. They're not going to do it, Natalie Pinkham. They're not going to rescind it. They will never. They will never ever. Missed FP1 completely. Any douche. The bigger story from FP1 was an incident between Alex Albon and Ollie Behrman. Very, very clumsy. Ollie Behrman caught between a rock and a hard place. Should have just put his foot down. Alex Albon, incapable of handling the car, jumped out the throttle, completely subverted the effectiveness from the bloody Venturi tunnels and the god tier downforce that so characterises an F1 car. And Alex Albon lost control. Ferraris look quick. Antonelli in Lewis Hamilton's car, but again, I think the story out from this FP1, FP2 is that it's reduced running time, and so anybody who had to give up their car during FP1, Sauber for Schwartzman. I feel like Zhou Guanyu gave up his car for Schwartzman. Ferrari, Charles Leclerc for Ollie Behrman, and Lewis Hamilton for Kimi Antonelli. All of these guys are going to suffer big time. This is not the track at which you want to give up any track time, because FP2 is going to be 90 minutes, 60 minutes worth of testing out the tyre spec for 2025. What do we do? Like, why? Come on, F1. What are we doing here? All of us gathered here to see Kyle Tucker, the legend that is PhD settings. We're all gathered here to see an FP2, and it's not going to be a proper FP2. It's going to be 60 minutes worth of testing tyres for 2025. Lest we forget that they can't, any learnings from this tyre, it's a different set of tyres in the race and in quali, so they can't carry forward any learnings, right, or think that they can set up the car by dint of anything they pick up in FP2. It's going to be a completely different set of tyres. The reason why they're doing this at the Mexico Grand Prix is there's a couple different reasons in there. The track is super smooth. They're just resurfaced, I want to say, between turn 8 and turn 12. And so it's a good opportunity. Track temperatures, the aero efficiency massively reduced, so convergence therefore. And so it's going to be super interesting, right? Super useful for Pirelli to see this current spec of cars run around this track. And that's why they're running the new spec, the 2025 spec of Pirelli tyre for 60 minutes of a 90-minute qualifying. Like, what do we do? FP1 and FP2 and then straight back into it, basically. They miss a qualifying session in earnest. Sprint race settings. And I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. If it's Schwartzman as a grid penalty, I saw that Schwartzman did have it. Will Perez get into P2? Q2? I don't know. Checo, I kind of hope so, you know. I riffed on Checo like in extremis over the past few months. I'm not walking any of that back. Checo Perez has been rahubish. You know what I mean? Yeeting it into the barrier when the Tayuvida family were there. He has been an SH1T show. Let's be honest. I think we can all agree that Checo fans and non-Checo fans alike, he's been appalling. Like Liam Lawson already has made a very valid case for being the guy to sit alongside Maximilian Verstappen next year, but we all know that there is a subtext, right? Footnotes that you've got to consider, that Christian Horner's got to think about when he makes his decision. Because of course, that 20 to 30 million US dollars is how much he brings in, plus the money as far as how by dint of the Checo Perez name and his popularity in North America, how much merch does he sell? How many energy drinks does that dude sell? You gotta be holistic with this, right? F1 is a business. People need to make sure that the bottom line is impacted positively. It's I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. You know what I mean? It's gonna get techie for Checo. Rumour is that as at the end of this Grand Prix, depending on how it goes for him, that he could imagine if Checo Perez wins this Grand Prix. Might as well. It'd be no better way to hang it up. No better way, mate. Got other priorities to consider. Of course, he's got to think about his burgeoning family, a new little one on the way. His old man's not feeling too well. Had a heart attack on the back of the incident with Checo Perez between Checo Perez even and Carlos Sainz at Singapore. What's important to Checo has done 5 million of that year, 4.9 the last time or 4.8 million the last time I checked US dollars. Joshua, does Gasly have any damage yet? Yet, says Joshua. Oh, what I think we'll check again to be. Yeah, I don't know. We are T minus 5 minutes away from a extended FP2. Kind of 60 minutes worth of testing 2025. So should I just cancel this bloody streak? I don't even know what to do. We'll go back up. We've got things that we can talk about. Lewis Hamilton chiming in, of course, on the FIA and their nonsense. Consistent inconsistency ad infinitum, in extremis, each and every single time. Lewis is like, mate, I don't even want to answer these questions again. We've been dealing with this since 2021. I want to move on with my life, not regress, not go backwards, not cry over spilt milk. And fair play to him. Fair play to him. Checo got unlucky with K-Mag and Sainz, to be fair. Well, I don't know. How many times? You know what? I'm not ever going to chime in. I don't want to curse Checo Perez. Lack of talent by Albon. Lack of intelligence by Behrman. Very well put, Michael. I think that characterization. I like your turn of phrase signifier. I think you want something. 4.304 kilometers, 2.674 miles, 47.4% of the track is on full throttle. Top speed 364.9 kilometers. There were 17 turns, 2,229 meters is the full length. Checo got unlucky with F1. Oh no, you guys are going hard. Right, entire compound C3, C4, C5. Again, we'll talk about race strategy going into the race. Every time there's a track car right on track, I will be here talking about it with you guys, fact checking me and telling me how numpty I am in my very scatterbrained F1 theses. But I was checking out what happened last year. Last year was a bit techie. Normally these guys try and do one stop right, but it ultimately turned into a 2/3 stopper last year, I think, because of the timing of a safety car. Get a bit techie. And again, I'm starting to learn more and more, courtesy of Martin over at Lower Lap Time and obviously Peter Windsor. I'm learning more about the validity and the value in tight line in a race. Not necessarily tight lines for quali, because the quickest way over the course of a lap through most of these laps, or over most of these racetracks, is of course geometric racing line. edge-to-edge settings. Over the course of a race where tyre deg becomes a thing, almost like a currency, something that you can leverage with a view to extract lap time over the course of a race distance, then this is where the Colapinto and Charles Leclerc tight lines and Lewis Hamilton, the tight lines Ving off a corner, come into play. I saw a tweet where Lewis Hamilton was talking about sometimes you can't be asked with this new tech spec of car. I say new, since 2022, but this ground effect car doesn't necessarily like the V line because you got to put pace into it for the Venturi tunnels and the ground effect to start triggering. Test tirings, mate, they're going to do loads. I was reading, I'm a fan of rabbit holes, says Max. Yeah, me too sometimes. Me too. So there's oh my gosh, they're going for a run plan, an entire run plan over the course of the next 60 minutes. Tech key. Very, very techy. So they're going to go through all the tyres, right? There's 3 sets of tyres that they need to use, 2025 settings, and they're going to go through the whole gambit. I think this could be interesting. Oh my gosh, Crofty says, as for this session, for the first 60 minutes, it's a write-off. Go away and come back in 60 minutes time, ladies and gents, and you'll get to see some running that is relevant for this weekend. This is now a 2025 test in the middle of the 2024 season. Cheers, F1. We're just talking then, ladies and gents. I think there'll be some interesting takeaways. I'm quite keen to see these cars run on 2025 tyres. Although, again, the 2025 cars are going to be different, so it's apples and oranges, isn't it? It's a bit techie. Oh, Max, it's a bit techie. Renault reliability, Joshua. Oh, dear. Lucky they kept Danica from her, but mate. Danica is... Danica is Danica, right? That's all that I could say. Bless her. 118 of you watching concurrently, do me a favour and smash the like. We're going hard, you know. This is hardcore F1 settings. The time is currently 2300 hours in the UK, and we're going for the next 90 minutes. Oh, of course. Not even going to get any metrics or timings because we don't even know what tyres they're on because they don't have any bloody... What are they doing? Why do the FA do this stupid thing and not... Oh, look, I'm just looking at my weird orange bottle, all transparent because of my light settings. Bring us into the test, surely. Why does it all need to be so secret? This is a public event. You've got people at the track and then you're trying to hide this stupid... Like, let people know. Danik is a see you next Tuesday. You up late? I know, Ray. Die hard settings. Hard work, dedication. Some say, Ray. In the zoo, Crackosaurus, 90 minutes. Yeah, so it's 60 minutes worth of running. Sorry, Crackosaurus, if I didn't make that clear. 60 minutes run. For the next 60 minutes, you will see nothing that relates to this race weekend because they're going to be running on the tech spec of tyre that will be that they'll be running in 2025. This is not 2024 settings. So for the next 60 minutes, we're going to get these guys running on these tyres with no demarcations, and it will all relate to 2025 tyres. For the next 30 minutes after that, so in 60 minutes, they begin another 30 minutes worth of running, and that will be where they're on proper tyres. So that it's going to get techie. It's going to get very techie for Lewis Hamilton. It's going to get very techie for Charles Leclerc and Zhou Guanyu, I think. All of who gave up their cars for rookies in Kimi Antonelli, Behrman, and Robert Schwartzman in FP1. That's the Martin messed up. With the sign that says 400 starts, yes, 396, 400 race weekends. I did not know this. Hinchcliffe is far better than Buxton and Patrick. I rate Hinchcliffe. He's not bad, is he? Hinchcliffe is decent. You know what? Let me get some metrics up, even though we won't know tyres. We can get some metrics up still, I think. Alex Albon, bad luck. I feel like he was ill prepared. It is tough for Williams though, Bernie Collins says. They haven't got time and they haven't got money and they can't afford, do you know what I mean? It is difficult for them. Yeah, Bernie Collins, it's tough, but he's also F1. Bloody nor would you expect. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you've got to make your own luck, I think. And Alex Albon is under pressure and he is struggling, do you know what I mean? Struggling just a little bit. Being found out. This is different. Right, let's go. Let us go. Okay. Let us go. I'm just going to get some metrics up. I don't even know if they're talking, but we can... What do you mean a bit of chatter, David Croft, about Alex Albon being under pressure? Franco Colapinto is sweating him, stealing his lunch money. Say it as you mean it, chap. Just because you're fond of Alex Albon, that doesn't mean that you need to lie. Do you mean you don't see that for a while, David Croft? What are you talking about? Franco Colapinto is a whirling dervish, a force of nature. Reminds me of Lewis Hamilton's entry into Formula One, I'll be honest with you. But I digress. Right, I'm going in. I'm going in. Here he is. Let's go. Take a perch. Let's get some metrics on the go. Hey, how do you like them apples? Let's go. Franco Colapinto, by the way, on comms, are you having a laugh? Next week is going to be... This is interesting. Franco Colapinto on commentary, eh? I don't mind if I do. Franco Colapinto being asked, why did you drive here today and not at Brazil in front of your home fans, where thousands, hundreds of thousands of Argentinians will be? Fernando, the reason why Colapinto's in the car is because Fernando's not feeling very well. Perez, the brake pedal feels a bit stiff. Go away, Checo Perez. Just test the tyres, do you know what I mean? Did you guys see Karan Chandok eating his tacos? What a clown. What an absolute joker. Colapinto's a star, isn't he, chat? Let's be honest. Can we be honest and talk honest here? Can we be really truthful? I think Colapinto's an absolute... Colapinto every single day of the week, Movishare. What are we doing here? Colapinto's a star, mate. I was watching him, Brundle. There's a lot made of the fact that Brundle didn't, that he just blanked Brundle, right? So it's a viral moment massively. But then Brundle got the opportunity to interview him after that. Bernie introduces herself. Bernie Eccleston, aka Collins, asking some proper questions here. Talk to us about the lack of grip. Said they were surprised taken aback by the low grip on the slow speed turns. Franco Colapinto, I mean, charisma is something this dude does not lack, eh? I think we need more personality. Am I being too controversial by saying that we need more personalities like Franco Colapinto in Formula One? That's why I answer so quick fire Mubashir to your question. Science lights the tyres, it seems. Flag, Scuderia with Science is rapid. Franco Colapinto on deck, eh? This might be worth the entry fee alone, chaps, guys and girls. Bloody Nora, Verstappen blighted by reliability. Engine chaos it was earlier on. Carlos Sainz and the new tyres. Oh, look at the tyre. We don't know what tyres these guys are on. Hence why when you see on your right-hand side, normally you'd see medium, hard or soft or whatever. But these tyres are without markations, of course, FIA. People up here at 8 minutes past 11. By the way, look at this. 80 minutes on the clock. 60 minutes of which, or another 50 minutes of which, will be on tyres that bear no relevance to this race weekend. But whatever. This is F1ing. Science likes the tyres, it seems he's quick, eh? Just means nothing though. Franco gives off a rebel vibe. Yeah, he does, doesn't he? Just walked past Martin Brundle like he didn't care. Bloody no. Southern Hemisphere drivers are super quick because they are not driving play. Oh, you guys are kidding me. Seems like there would be no engine swap for Max Verstappen just yet. He's still got issues though. Be careful, George. You don't want to run into the back of... Don't run into the gearbox of Max, mate. Do you know what I mean? You're gonna get lots of names called at you. That's my guy, Colapinto. He has the je ne sais quoi, that spice. Verstappen says the noise is can't be normal. It's very disturbing. Max Verstappen having problems with his engine power unit. That spice that he's missing from a lot of current drivers. The Cubs are coming to eat the Lions. Bloody no, it always happens, right? On a long enough timeline, the survival rate is always 0. Ultimately, it's the oldest story in F1 history that the young, hungry lions will take the old dogs out to pasture at some point. 159 if you're watching concurrently. We have ourselves 80 minutes on the docket, 40 of which will bear no relevance to this weekend and its ultimate outcome because they're testing tyres for 2025, of course, without demarcations, so we don't know what's going on. Although, have a look at those. Those are red labelled, aren't they? I know that's the rim knurling at which I'm looking. Sponsors want uncontroversial personalities in the driver's seat. Jesse, I'm going to come to that because I don't think what's going on, Eddie. I'm not sure you're 100% on the money there. 2 months ago, I would have said Liam, but I would have said Liam gets my next available seat in F1, but Colapinto is making a claim to. Albon might get replaced. I tell you what, the Colapinto gist is this. He's going to bring a lot of... Carlos Slim's already said that he would transfer as soon as Checo leaves, if he leaves before 2025, that potentially there's the opportunity to transfer all of the funding, the $20 million US, from Juan Checo Perez, man formerly known as the Mexican Minister of Defense, onto one Franco Colapinto. So that's critical there, especially if you're at Audi, when you're looking at the cost benefit of keeping the F1 project going. So he's going to get techie in that sense. Colapinto plus, look, he's following already, 3 million on Instagram, as versus the 2.9 of his teammate Alex Albon, who's just completed 101 Grand Prix. That's got to mean something, right? Got that look of a champion, if that's something that you can invest in. He just looks like Ayrton Senna, for Pete's sake. Like, how, do you know what I mean? People will gravitate to that. Sponsors will gravitate to that. And I tell you what, Jesse, to your point, I think I was watching the Vince McMahon F1 WWE documentary on Netflix, and it's Franco Colapinto. It's Franco. Oh no. Franco's out now. James Val says it's going to be a frustrating session. No data, mate. Yeah, fill it up, Crofty. If you're a god tier play-by-play guy, you'll find something to talk about. Jesse, I think we're going into something of an attitude era. George Russell crashed. Red flag. George Russell in the barrier. Oh no. That is a Mercedes that has gone in. Blue tyres for whatever that means. Blue markations. Bloody Nora, George. You can't crash your car in the piece of FP that doesn't matter. That car is knife edgy, eh? He said George Russell could go well this weekend. Cameron did. Oh no. Low air density, gravity super tricky, aero off. Tougher. Driving these knife edgy cars, eh? 140 of you watching concurrently, only 33 likes. That's more shameful than this George Russell incident. Do me a favour and smash the like, please. Because it's late and I'm tired out here. Cansadissimo. But you know what? We go hard. Have to. Jesse, to your point about sponsors don't like controversial characters, I think that the F1, having watched recently the Vince McMahon WWE documentary and leaning into first-hand evidence, I think that F1 is about to go through something of an attitude era. Colapinto's cheeky chappy, right? You already heard him talking about encouraging Argentinian Williams fans not to buy the expensive merch with his name on the back and then not be able to eat for a month. Buy the knockoff ones, the cheap ones, the fake ones. That's Franco Colapinto talking. And people, I feel in 2024, with the amount of media that we're exposed to, you can sniff out the genuine ones from those who lack authenticity. It's easy, like, do you know what I mean? When you see somebody and when you see somebody with such frequency as we do these drivers on the track, outside the cockpit every single race weekend, it's really easy to sniff out the ones who lack a bit of authenticity. When Colapinto just walks past Martin Brundle as if he doesn't know who he is, and then does the interview afterwards, apologising to Brundle, saying, I'm so sorry, I didn't realise my preparation for normally in the F2, we just get in the car, it's 30 minutes, we sit there, helmet on, dialing. Now, you've got to drive the car to the bloody grid, get out, go back to the paddock for 30 minutes, come back, pass through all these interviews. He goes, I just wasn't used to it, mate. When you see Franco Colapinto addressing Martin Brundle and like kind of through charisma and openness and authenticity, kind of Martin Brundle stepping away, mate, I think Colapinto's onto something. Ergo, say all that to say, I think we're going into something of an attitude era. You've seen it with Max, eh? Max just drops the F-bomb in the press conference and then does one of these to media all around the world. It's like, that's a viral snippet. That's a quotable. Let's have some of that. Because when they're all same and answering the, what's the point? What's the point in watching the driver's press conference if everything is yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir? Yeah, the car's fantastic. The team did really well. Like the Lewis Hamilton PR answers, as I understand. Let's have a look at the George Russell incident. Oh, he's took too much curb, unsettled the car. Took too much curb, George. Per Martin of lower lap time, mate. When you take too much curb and traction is at a premium. You've took too much, chap. Taking lots of curb under throttle will unsettle the car, chap, and that's what he's done. He's gotten a bit too greedy with the curb on the front left, as George Russell, bless him. And that's why we have a red flag, or on the front right even. Unsettled the car, sparks, cheeky bottom out, down forces, none and void, and George Russell is in the barrier. But yeah, I say that to say NWA. This is what I'm saying, Max. I don't know. I have the feeling like we've been in like the baby face era for too long now. Lewis, I know why Lewis has to give the PR answers in his own mind at least. But I think we've seen that for a while now, and we need ourselves another Kimi Raikkonen. And Max Verstappen is giving us that in dropping the F-bomb and the expletives. He doesn't care, does he? He doesn't give a fudge. And Franco Colapinto, I think, hearing him talk, encourages Argentinian fans not to buy the Williams merch. Buy the knockoff ones, the fake ones, and save yourself some money. I don't want my fans to buy my merch and not be able to eat. He's like elevated to hero worship already as far as Argentina is concerned. Argentina. The enders. Like you must respect that. It's him looking out for his people who, by the way, are going through very difficult economic times. It has to mean something, quite. Out from one people rose Franco Colapinto. From the embers like a Felix, Mercedes in shambles. The car is far too knife edgy, isn't it, Russ, to extract anything out of it with any sort of consistency. Toto Wolff not too happy. It's his standard face at the moment, isn't it, Toto? Test tyres all the way for the first 60 minutes. So what's the time on the clock? We have 1 hour 12 minutes remaining. Another 42 minutes remaining on these test tyres. Tyres that are going to provide insight to Pirelli as they continue to push to develop 2025 tyres. Charming. Thanks for putting that in the middle of an FP2 session, Pirelli, instead of holding. But there's reason though. They need to do it today because Mexico is a very specific track, different to the rest. So it provides a lot of information. Do you know what I mean? A lot of useful information. Martin Brundle down trackside, having a look at the damage. Oh my God, he's totaled it. Hasn't he? Look at the wheel hanging off. Bring the car back, George. You know what I was looking at? Oh my gosh, let me tell you guys this. So just between FP1 and FP2, I was doing my due diligence as you do. If I share this, can we keep it within these 4 virtual walls? Because I don't want this information getting out. I put on my accounting cap and did some maths. I'm going to share something with you. I'll bring it up because it's quite, in fact, no, I'll talk you through it. I'll try and bring it up on screen maybe a bit later. We'll do it in the race, but I'll talk to it now. 209 of you watch it. Listen, keep this between you and me, us, these 4 virtual walls. Sky Sports brought up a graphic that showed the head-to-head between Lewis Hamilton. I only say this because, for table setting, everybody's questioning Lewis Hamilton whether he can be. I heard David Coulthard on his podcast, the Formula for Success podcast, when he was asked, did Ferrari make a mistake in signing Sir Lewis Hamilton? He answered out and out, unequivocally, yes. After being pushed, he hesitated for a little bit, but then ultimately came out and he said, yes, I think Ferrari made a mistake. And Eddie Jordan echoed those sentiments. Ralph Schumacher said Lewis Hamilton will never do what Schumacher, Michael, his brother, has been able to do. It feels like riff on Lewis Hamilton time as he goes into his final stint, final tenure even, with Scuderia Ferrari. Now Charles Leclerc also enhorabuena too, in the best form of his life, right? Some people are saying that this is Charles Leclerc's best season. So it feels like the walls are closing around Lewis Hamilton. And I thought, let me look at his points, because up until recently, the last time I checked and deep dived this, I know that George has been roundly out qualifying him, but qualifying is qualifying. The paid sessions, the real ones, are the races. And in my mind, I knew that Lewis Hamilton had more points in the championship than George, and that is true. 177 points is what Lewis on. 167 is what George is on. But here's where it gets techie, ladies and gents, because in the head-to-head, qualifying, we know that George was outperforming, has been outperforming Lewis season to date. 14-5 is what King George leads Sir Lewis. In races, though, George has beaten. I was convinced, I would have bet all of my money that Lewis was leading George in the race finishes. However, George leads Lewis 12-7. Hang on. What's going on here? Oh no, Andash. Cool. You got to listen to these guys who are closer to the circumstance, though. These industry insiders. But Andash, check this out. You'll like this, Andash, as a fan of George Russell, because this, ladies and gents, is techie. Keep this between us, please, and get me to. You know what? If you can get me to 75 likes, I'll reveal this secret. I'm not talking to it before then, but it's because it's too techie. I don't want the Colt RH to come for me as I reveal this information and ply my accountancy trade. Get me to 75 likes and we'll share if you can. Now I've set you guys a challenge. This secret info is not going to come for free. Even Brundle running behind the scene. I love it when Brundle gets trackside. Matthew Brown, the legend that is far too kind of person, would just take the penalty and throw a new engine in an RB20. Rating to Brazil would be ideal, but going to the race with a fresh PU and on full assault. I think they're going to wait. I don't think that they won't do it to damage the reputation, Matthew. I agree with your sentiment, and your thesis is sound. Your thinking is a function of a rational mind, but I think they will. I think I don't think they'll do it if they don't need to. Damage limitation, right? They just need to stay ahead of Lando and Norris as far as possible. I'm not sure it's very easy to overtake around here. 66 likes. 9 more likes and I'll tell you this secret bit of insight. I'm bribing you. Emotional blackmail. It has to be done. But this, when I do reveal it, it's for these 4 virtual wars only, because the Colt LH brigade will call me out as a Judas Iscariot. You know what I mean? For revealing truth, for never sacrificing truth, value and objectivity at the altar of Lewis Hamilton partnership. Something that I will never do. It's easier to do that, but I can't do it. I won't do it. No, I shall not do it. Once we get to 75 likes, I'm going to tell you this thing, and it's chaos. I should make a video by itself. It's standalone. 71. We're going. And you're far too kind, Matthew, and far too generous. Thank you, sir. Bloody Nora, 75 likes that quickly, chat. I need to set you guys more challenges more often, eh? Goes to show. Go on then, Max. All right. Here's the secrets. Look. Table setting. I said already that qualifying, George has had pace, right? He's been super quick, not much quicker, but little bit quicker than Lewis consistently. 14-5, as at 19 races, is how much George leads Lewis in qualifying. But then, like I said to you, when I saw this metric come up, I was like, I know Lewis is ahead in the championship, so I expect Lewis to be leading the head-to-head in races. The head-to-head in races, George is leading by 12-5. 12-5. George is leading Lewis in races. But then, here's where it gets techier. Because Lewis in the driver's standing is 6th and George is 7th. Something doesn't correlate, right? Because George has 167 points in the championship and Lewis has 177. So hang on. So that means that Lewis is just a gamer, right? That when he finishes, he genuinely tends to finish higher and get more points. Or is there something else at play? Is there something that we need to normalise? We're going to lose half an hour repairing the back. I know, Andash, but we can talk. We're going back and forth. I feel like we've lost. They just need to make sure that the barrier's ready for the last half an hour, which is when they'll be running tyres that are significant, relevant even for this session. 251 of you in the chat, do me a favour and smash the like, please. I'm about to spill the normalisation beans on Sir Lewis Hamilton. 177 points is how much Lewis Hamilton has in the championship even. George has 167 points. So I'm thinking then that this is Lewis just being a gamer, the god tier racer that we all know and love him to be, right? And that when he finishes, genuinely he finishes higher owing to his 2 wins as versus George wins. But the discerning-eyed amongst you will know that one of those wins came with mitigating circumstances, did they not? One of those wins was supposed to be George Russell's wins at Belgium, though. Do you remember when George finished the race and was determined to be underweight? But he'd won. He was the first across the finishing line. But then they said that he was underweight and he got disqualified. So let's account for that then. It's techie, this Matthew Ban, I'm telling you. William Franco. Hamilton has 2 race wins. Check the podiums. Yeah, 100%. So Lewis has 2 race wins, but one of those race wins was gifted to him by virtue. Nothing that George did, apart from being underweight, right? Then you could argue back and forth that had George not been underweight, that Lewis would have caught and passed him. George did a god tier 1-stopper and went long, tight lines, etc. and was able to save himself some tires. But imagine that hadn't happened, because we need to normalise for that. I'm going to unwind it and flip it the other way. George would have how many points? An extra 25. So George would be on 192 points and Lewis would lose himself 7. So that would leave. But for George being underweight that Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton would have 170 points and George Russell would have 192. Significant, eh? Lewis dominated in Belgium. Yeah, he did. He was quickest, but then the strategy, this is F1, this is motor racing. Meaning, therefore, normalise for that Belgian Grand Prix and George Russell's underweight scenario. 192 points is what he'd be on. 32 points clear of Lewis. Honestly, that blew my mind. I can't even keep that between us, please. these 4 virtual wars. Do you know what I mean? I don't think Lewis would have been able to pass. I don't think he'd have been able to pass either, me for sure. That's KSO now. Have I just revealed something? If we normalise for that circumstance, Lewis would be on 107 again. If my mum, do you know what I mean? If my mum had a phallic tool, then she'd be my dad, per Max Verstappen. But 170 points plays 192 by my maths. That's what it would have been. But for that circumstance, that's chaos. No wonder George Russell's got such a pep in his step. Again, on the backdrop of Lewis questioning, insinuating that George Russell might not be the guy to lead Mercedes back to the promised land once he's gone. Chaos. Hamilton is the man. I love me some Lewis, William. I do love me some Lewis. They would never know how much I love myself some Lewis Hamilton. Come up with that dude. Never even thought that I would see a person of colour in Formula One since it's Black History Month. Do you know what I mean? Hello, why the red flag? George Russell stacked it into the barrier. That's why we've got ourselves a red flag. Jeannie says, yes, but Lewis was angry about not being given a one-stop option. Then he got it anyway. Yeah, it's fair. Bit of karmic justice, eh? But it's interesting, Jeannie, as I remember that very, very techie, William. We need to keep that within these 4 virtual wars, please, because I don't want Team LH calling me out as more of a Judas Iscariot than they already do. But again, for the avoidance of doubt, one will not, nor can I not, nor shall I ever sacrifice truth and objective value at the altar of partisanship / confirmation bias. Never ever will I do that. But it's interesting, right? Normalised for that Belgium Grand Prix circumstance, and it gets a bit techie. Now, Lewis Hamilton fans, per Genie, will always say that Lewis would have smashed it anyway. He should have been given the option for a one-stopper. But the one-stopper wasn't the modus operandi, the apex predator strategy, if I recall correctly. Just so it turned out, like similar to Monza and Charles Leclerc. Before the race, if you'd said one-stop, everybody would have said, nah. Charles Leclerc's hand was forced on the one-stop. So too George Russell. Everybody can be a genius with hindsight, right? Hindsight benefit is a privilege. 2020 setting. So I don't know. I don't think Lewis would have chose that. Nobody would have chose that. George was forced into it by virtue of the fact that he had not a lot to lose. Do you know what I mean? If he'd done the standard 2-stop, he would have finished where he started. Even 233 of you watching Kokoli, do me a favour, smash a like, as we are. Will you recap Kimi's run again? William, I had a look at it. Karan Chandler checked it out and assessed Kimi Antonelli as follows. He said of Kimi Antonelli's run that this is he compared and contrasted Kimi's approach this session, or FP1 at least, with 60 minutes on the docket. Remember, the remaining 60 minutes will be split into 2 halves. 30 minutes by the time they recover, fix back the track. 30 minutes will be devoted to the new the 2025 tyre spec. It's Pirelli tyre test settings. The final 30 minutes will be relevant for this weekend. Sorry, I've been drinking too much orange juice and I've got reflux. TMI, Cameron. TMI. But no, William Franco, to your point, Karan Chandler stated that Kimi was driving a lot safer than he had in FP1 at Monza. FP1 at Monza, he was on a death mission, right? Win it or bin it settings. He wanted to go purple and top the timing. This was Italy. This was his home. This is your one shot. Do not miss your opportunity. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. Do you know what I mean? That type of thing. But now he was much more careful. He was much more deliberate on turning, much more deliberate through the apex, not taking too much curb like King George has just done here, because he knew ultimately his objective, just bring the car back, chap. Can't have 2 sessions where you crash the car both times. So a much more measured Kimi Antonelli, William, in summary. I'll tell you what, Bernie Collins has just, or Rebecca, what's her name, has just made a brilliant comment that it's interesting, you'll never see, when cars are out on track, you very rarely see Christian Horner in the garage. He'll always be on the pit wall. In stark contrast, Toto likes to be in the garage always with his headset on. I think that's significant, chat. I don't care what anybody says. Peter Windsor would say you always need to be on the pit wall. You've got to go out there and touch some grass, see what the cars are doing. And it speaks to the criticism that people leverage of Toto Wolff, right? That he's not a proper racing man. Meanwhile, Christian's out there with Hannah Schmitz, with Jonathan Wheatley, making the decisions in real time, seeing what's going on. Toto is sat there bloody behind the screen. Do you know what I mean? I see that, I'll agree, says Franco. William. Anything happening in FP2? Nothing. McLaren F1 race. We are a red flag circumstance, and these guys are meant to be testing for the first 60 minutes of a 90-minute and extended FP2 per convention. They're spending the first 60 minutes of that time testing 2025 tyres in conjunction with Pirelli. Cheers, Pirelli. Same with Fred. Always on the pit wall, right? Different, proper racing minds. I'm going to pitch that to Windsor next time. I'm sure I have something to say. He's a big fan of Toto, is Peter. Anthony needs to balance that safe and go for agreed. Just play your way into the crease though sometimes. Martin said it over low lap time, said it. Build yourself, particularly on like a street circuit. You want to build yourself a race weekend, and requisite to that is staying out the barrier. Can't get in the barrier, so I don't know. Is this Franco Colapinto? Again. So, FFS, another red flag. I hate Mexico, boring circuit. I've heard people say that it's not a great circuit. Too many crashes, too boring, not wide enough. And I suppose it's always in start. You're spoiled by the racing that we get at the Circuit Americas. Excuse me. Excuse me. Jesus. Mexico. Viva Mexico. Viva la raza. Crowd are having a good time singing something. What would the hands device be with George Russell testing it on Bottas? Oh my gosh, Michael. Mariozola, Mr. Pirelli, got to start. What are we doing? Yeah, you shouldn't smile, Mario, because you're losing your time, mate. I hope you know that in T minus... In T minus 24 minutes, mate, we're back onto normal schedule for 30 minutes. I had backup plans. Mario, just know, mate, you got 24 minutes, chaps, to get some meaningful information, after which you're gone, you're out of here, chap, back onto the 24 tyres and back onto meaningful business, of which there's a lot to address. Helmet used to demolish Toto every day when Toto first joined. Bless you. Thank you, Ralph. Apparently, you're not meant to say thank you in the UK when somebody says bless you, because it allows the demons to come back in. If you're superstition and that way inclined. I'm glad the feed hasn't found Daddy Perez yet. I know. I don't think Daddy Perez can be in attendance, man. He's just had a heart attack. Do you know what I mean? You can't risk your health. F1's important, but I mean, your health has got to come first, just a little bit. Jomo, been to the pub, I'm back. Let's go. 100 likes. Brilliant, you guys. Moderator extraordinaire, Jomo, and McLaren F1 race in tow. Not to forget me, Bashir. Anything happening in FP2? No, nothing. Although I think I'd answered and read that question before. Crackosaurus says, Lewis has only spun twice in races in tow. I know. And Dash, I read that. They had to fact check it. I didn't believe it. I was like, what is going on? All right. Oh, Tian. Different strokes, different folks. Say Toto versus Christian. Very different strokes for very different folks. Taking Christian Horner every single time. If it's trenches, if it's DEFCON 1, prime time, serious business only, I'm taking Christian Horner every single time. And that could ultimately backfire against me. Who knows? If I fall out of favour, he will sack me without compunction nor impunity. With impunity even, but bloody Nora. In good times, he's going to back my case. 238 watching. Currently, do me a favour and smash the like. I would like to get to if we got to 300 on this dodgy FP2, that would be bad. That wouldn't be bad. Eh? Sorry, Cam. I knew this was going to be a boring session, so I watched something else. I'm bad. Oh my god, I don't hate it. Free country, McLaren. Do you know what I mean? I don't hate it. Viva Mexico, viva la raza. Entiende. Here we go again. So we've got cars out on track, but again, for the avoidance of doubt, you'll see on the right hand of your screen that there are no tyres. There are no tyre demarcations, no tyre labels. Why? Because they're testing the 2025 tyres. These are not 2024 tyres. Ergo, for the next 11 minutes or so, Entschuldigung, excuse me, for the next 21 minutes or so, T minus 21 minutes, and we get some proper FP2. 60 minutes in the bag and just 30 minutes remaining for some proper FP2. I mean, pity the fool who gave up their car for Behrman, Schwartzman and Kimi Antonelli, because they're really severely regressed as far as the expediting for their learning curve now. What's the secret? What's the secret 100? Genie, I told it already, but between these four virtual walls, it's the normalised Lewis Hamilton score. Lewis versus George should be, when normalised, the gap between the two is a lot greater than it actually it says at the moment, right? Not good. 25 of you watching concurrently, we've got ourselves George who? I still don't rate him. Joe Mo. I know why. I understand it, but I think he's better than most people. If you go and watch him in the feeder formula, F2, Jomo is not a bad driver. Yet to deliver properly. In a very similar circumstance to Charles Leclerc, right? He's got to go out there and execute for it convergence settings. Or convergence settings even. Got to go out there and execute. But I think he's Genie. I know, I want some dinner as well. I'm going to get some as soon as this finishes. I've got leftovers from yesterday and I'm going to get tucked in. That's not a thing, don't worry, Ralph. We need to suspend George and Albon if there's any test. Yeah. Mike. Entschuldigung. Entschuldigung. I think that's German for excuse me. They're supposed to be running some special supers. Yeah, so they're running softs. I think they're running 3 different ones. Soft, super softs and mediums potentially. I think I read it somewhere, but I can't remember. So disenchanted and unenthused was I at this whole concept of turning up to an FP2. They had 90 minutes worth of running, of which only 30 minutes contributes meaningfully to the ultimate outcome of the race weekend. What are we doing, FI? What are we doing, F1? Misrepresented. Can you imagine if you'd gone to FP2, if you paid for FP2 session only and you got this 90 minutes worth of track time, only 30 Entschuldigung German. Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. Ein bisschen. Only ein bisschen. Don't test me because it's been a while. Spanish, German, a bit of Japanese and Patois. Patois is not a real language, although someone argues. Kayo, are you in there? Is Patois really a real language? Wow, who's that? Is that Oscar? Jeez, that's Lando. Go easy, Lando. Why are Oscar and Lando going? Chill out, chaps. I think they're enjoying themselves on these tyres, right? This is a no risk session. Go as hard as you want, as fast as you want. They snap a lot more when they lose the grip. Exactly. That's what Alex Albon suffered from in FP1. That was the root cause analysis of his crash. Red Bull will not regret signing. Oh, sorry, I read it wrong. Red Bull will regret not signing. Yeah, I agree. Not signing Carlos Sainz. I agree with that. Unless they get themselves Franco Colapinto and promote Liam Lawson. Again, they like promoting junior people, don't they? Even if they had to bin them off over a couple of months, after a couple of months. Vamos. Gambate. Gambate, Gam. Do your best. Oof. 202 of you watching concurrently. We have 27 minutes left of this first portion of FP2 that means nothing ultimately, contributes zero useful information. Because why? Because they're of course testing 2025 spec tyres because Pirelli have mandated it. Recharge on, Max, recharge on. We've got ourselves some no transcriptions. Go away. Go away. Bernie Collins talking about the importance of feeding back on a tyre. They have got to develop the tyre. Mr. Evans has said it, mate. Science has that exit clause. Yeah. No, I think he does have it. I don't know where Peter would have heard that from. No, of course Peter's got his sources much better and more connected than I. But I feel like I've discussed that with Peter at some point. I'm really praying for that Checo does well. Me too. Kind of. Jeannie Murky's washed. Oh my gosh, Jeannie, say you really mean it. Delani to Ross. Patois is my first language. Of course it's a language. Let's go, Delani. Tian says, how about when you normalise for things Merc have done? Well, that's a more complicated exercise, Tian. I'm just normalising for the material ones about which we know. Then against Lewis, e.g. not allowing Lewis to revert setup in Kota. So didn't they? I think they allowed him to revert. Tian, I know. Tian, have you heard the phrase that I will never sacrifice true value at the altar of partisanship nor confirmation bias? Have you heard me say that, Tian? Not allowing Lewis to revert to setup in Kota. Poor. Go on then. Let's address the poor temps. The poor temperatures. Lewis, for those of you who are unaware, Lewis has complained on more than one occasion this season about the temperature of the tyres. Ted Kravis kiboshed that massively, saying, listen, this is auditable. You're going to go and check what the tyre temps were before you... Here's what I'll say to you. You know how easy it would be for them to sabotage Lewis Hamilton properly? They would have had these tyre temps and all this other nonsense. If they really wanted to sabotage Lewis... Tian, I don't... There might be, Tian. It might be sabotage, but I very much doubt it. I very much doubt. I believe. Listen, if you, Tian, how long have you been watching Formula One? Honestly, chap, did you live through the 2016 season? Because that felt like some serious sabotage. Like that really felt like sabotage. If indeed you are a Lewis Hamilton fan, I doubt sincerely, chap, that this is sabotage. Being honest. And Ashiki saying, Liam, how to drive around the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Quizás. Matt's in the bit again. Penalty for engine changes imminent, says Bert. Potentially. When in fact, I love me some press. Genie, I'm betting Checo out after this race. Maybe I know it's been rumoured that we've talked about it, Genie. Been rumoured, although everything I'm hearing in real time is that there is a right shift of that potentially it'll be gone at the end of this season. They need to give Liam Lawson a bit more time, right, before they know beyond reasonable doubt that he's ready to take the mantle from Checo Perez. 264 if you're watching concurrently, to each of whom I am grateful in extremis massively, because this channel is nothing without you. Guys fact checking me, back and forthing, modes of F1 discourse, pulling at F1 themed threads each and every single time. Do you know what I mean? FP2, hey legend, I am not funk. You misconstrue, you mischaracterize me. I am but another F1 mind trying to build a community within which I can express my views without fear of being judged. Hope next year we will see some new talents rough up some things. Hey, let's go, funk. I think we will. 20%. 25% of the grid potentially next year will be rookies. Let's run through them. This is a big story that we're going to have to talk to. Okay, let's do the ones that we know of first. Behrman, There will be Doohan even, pronounce it correctly. There will be Antonelli. So there's 3. Potentially there will be Bartoletto in an Audi, potentially. And could there be a Colapinto somewhere? Well, it's techie. There'll be 4 at least, so 20%, eh? I saw Senna and Prost. Tion, you were there. Go on then, I've been watching since 1992. Go on then, Tion. So explain me this. You saw 2016. That looked and felt like some serious sabotage. But with the benefit of hindsight, do you think? I just want to. Where's the mens rea? What's the motive? Listen, before we convict them beyond reasonable doubt of the crime of sabotage of Sir Lewis Hamilton, where's the mens rea? What's the motive? Why would they do that to? Why would they be incentivized to do that to Sir Lewis Hamilton? That's the first question you got to answer me to convince me. The second one is correlation and causality are 2 different things, eh? So just because it looks and feels and smells like something doesn't necessarily. The human mind, there's a phenomenon that we do as humans, a fallacy that we all fall into, called apophenia. It's the ability to see patterns. Your brain will show you something that doesn't correlate, to connect dots that shouldn't be connected. This is something that we suffer from. So you see Lewis Hamilton underperforming, and rather than leveraging a cheeky Occam's razor and citing the most simplistic approach, we try and reach for a conspiracy theory that holds no water. Not just with Lewis Hamilton, it's something that we do as human beings, that our brains are just wired that way. Check it out, apophenia, Apophenia. Something that it's a fallacy it's things that we just do. Tion. So just, I would be careful with those tinfoil hat wearers, Tion. You can go and check the tyre temperatures, Lewis, if you wanted to. Do you know what I mean? A simpler approach would be to listen to James Allison et al., who say that to hustle these cars along, Jeremy, you're an absolute legend. To hustle these cars along at 110% doesn't suit them in the paid sessions, particularly not qualifying. And that's how Lewis drives, right? Maybe he needs to take off a 5-10%. That's why, potentially, in free practice, when he's not pushing the car along so hard, he's quicker than he's in his paid sessions, because he's driving the car differently. And this is ground effect car, and it responds differently. The success in these cars, this tech spec of car has at 2024, you get it by dint of not pushing car. That's why you hear Max Verstappen put it on pole and Lando put it on pole, and they're surprised almost. They're like, it was done a pole lap. Jeremy, you're far too kind. I don't rate George, probably because I'm a Lewis Hamilton fanboy, and I don't like Lewis getting beat by average drivers. Oh, love you guys. Right back at you, Jovo. And I hear it, chap. I feel like I'm there with you, mate. I don't like George. I just don't like him. He rubs me up the wrong way. Don't like him. I'm not a big fan, but he's a sick driver. He's good. It's really, really good. I mean, you don't beat Lewis. Well, this is why people are saying it's sabotage, right? But I don't think you beat Lewis Hamilton like that if you're not good. Even with sabotage helping you protect 185. You watch, you could go ready to be a special like. We are 39 minutes left on the docket. 9 minutes of this noddy 2025 tyre testing. I've just been reacquainted recently with orange juice, with the juicy bits, and I don't know where it's been all my life. I don't know how I survived without it. It's just the best drink in the world. Orange juice with not the smooth one, the one with the actual bits in there. Oh my gosh, orgasmic almost. Ferrari 2025 will win it all. William, it's looking that way, eh? For a while I was a bit nervous, but now it looks like Lewis Hamilton in the 8th next year is back on. Potentially. 186 if you're watching concurrently, do me a favour, smash a like. We are 8 minutes away from the 75% point of this qualifying session, or 66.66% point. And it's going to get techie, because then we're going to get 30 minutes of proper running, and these lot are going to need to go like the wind and sandwich as much data diving and due diligence of the automotive pugilism variety in that 30 minutes. Oh, the humanity. Oh, the humanity. This year, Lewis is Sir Charles. Sir Clueless Hamilton. Behave yourself, Vincent. How very dare you, sir, with your blasphemy. They will have the best car. Frederick Vasseur a genius. Is Freddie Vasseur designing the car though, William? Maybe. Maybe. They're going to need to shift the bloody suspension first, aren't they? This is... Oh no, Max Verstappen. Oh no, they're doing something. That looks like heavy work being done to Max Verstappen's car, eh? Huh. Oh wow, they're doing something to that car, trying to patch that engine back together. Oh no, Max isn't getting back out. They said, oh no, Max. Lando Norris rubs his hand. Over to you, Lando. Cheeky pole. Wow. Curtailed running time for Lando, for Max Verstappen even. 2021 would be nice, Ibiza. 2021 would be nice. I think Fred got it right, got the right people to do it. Bloody no, really. That's a bold claim, eh? Excuse me. Corinne Chandler suggesting that Red Bull, what they should do is run themselves an old school shootout at the post-season Abu Dhabi test, potentially. I think Fred got the right people to do it. Akila says, Sainz been on it this weekend. He's been on it last weekend as well, Akila. I think Charles Leclerc's very lucky that the racing gods were smiling at him early on in the race, because that could have been Carlos Sainz's race victory. I'm convinced of it. He'd had his Weetabix last weekend, had Carlos Sainz. He had his Weetabix. He was on job. You don't out qualify Charles Leclerc unless you have had your Weetabix. I mean, oh. Bernie Collins giving us the gospel. 20 kg fuel level for all of these runs, and they've all been on the super quick red labeled soft compounds. Not this year's ones though, 2025 ones. And I don't know how I feel it. Engine is cut for Max Verstappen. I think you might be right, William Franco. I think you might be right. I don't like the way they take the mick out of Bernie Collins and her spreadsheets. What is going on with my nose? 108 if you watch it, Kokori, do me a favour and smash a like. Every little bit helps, it counts. Right, let's go. Martin Brundle down trackside. Carlos Sainz going to try hard for wins. No, I know this could be his last win in a while, eh? Williams don't have the minerals, that's why. It's going to get a bit techie. Sainz going. Tommy and Puma are going with, I know. Oh, as we get a look at, oh my gosh, you can see all the underfloor. Look at that. Red Bull have lifted at the floor and you can see every ounce of it. Wow, somebody's going to pay a lot of money for those photos and that video footage. Huh. Did you guys see that? The entirety of the Red Bull underfloor. Take a picture of that. Although Checo Perez normally crashes it every year at Monaco, so they get their fill there, right? No rest for the wicked, says Martin Brundle. The drivers can't rest across this diverse racetrack, always throwing you up a new challenge. Inability to get into a rhythm around here. Go on then. Here's what you need to know. You'll be fine tomorrow. No, new engine is a penalty. You will not be fine, sorry, says Bert. It's going to get techie, isn't it? They're trying to repair Max Verstappen's engine to avoid him having to replace his engine and get a penalty by bringing another engine into the pool. Carlos Sainz on a 1:17.6 on these. I need them to wipe off. You know what we need to do? They need to wipe these times off completely and then restart the session in T-minus 2 minutes. My front brakes are burning. Last sector, mate. So show Gwen you complaining about brakes. That they've been super glued to fix the engine. I bet George will still out qualify Lewis without any prep. Mate, that would burn my soul. But you're probably not wrong, to be fair. I think he's favourite. Let's have a look at the odds whilst we're asking the questions, eh? Did you guys hear Checo Perez talking about who's quickest on the grid? Guess who? Have a guess who he said was quickest on the grid. Lando. Yeah, George is a favourite to out-qualify Lewis. Marginally so, though. 14-1 for Lewis, 10-1 for Oscars. We get another cheeky picture of Alex. Oh, sorry, Pat Howard. I was going to say Alex Palou, but it's not, is it? It's Pat Howard. The red team looking good. For Lewis Hamilton, 22. I know all of a sudden it didn't look good for a while there, but I think they're back on it, are they not? Joe says my engine is cutting, guys. I don't know if you can see something's going on. It's heat. It's getting techie. Blasphemy. Yeah, well, science has been quicker than Sean Lazy. A good percentage of the time. And Dash. All I know about Carlos Sainz Jr. The 3 times that these have raced together. But for a cheeky pothole in Las Vegas, Carlos Sainz would be 2-1 up over Charles Leclerc. And Charles Leclerc is the quicker driver, so explain that to me. Explain that. Although, it looks like Charles Leclerc's going to nail him again this season. It'll be techie. The thin air is messing up the engine, says William Franco. You are right, sir. Seems like people having a free put. Yeah, heat, lack of cooling. Or cooling that you put in the car, of course, the slower that it goes. It's always a compromise, is it not? Thin air is messing up. Yeah, messing up. Oof. Major damage on Max Verstappen's car. I know, sorry, George Russell's what I'm talking about. Wishful thinking from Lando Nice's perspective, eh? Jim in the house. I feel a protest coming from Lando if no behaviour. Jimmy's mate, I still stand behind. I stand on that McLaren protest. I think you'd be a fool not to protest. When Andrea Stella said that they consider this matter closed, I thought that was nonsense. Why? Why closed? How? Are you not fighting for a championship? McLaren. 230 if you're watching concurrently. Do me a favour, special like, Cam, have you heard anything on Bottas for next year? So, I have heard, but I'm not at liberty to disclose it. No, we can talk about it. So, here's Lando Norris. Go easy, mate. We don't need any more red flags. Couple of minutes away from these guys having access to the tyres that they will be using. Lando Norris got in some practice, but again, does what Lando Norris does and locks up in free practice too, of course. What else would you expect? Big up Cameron, big up yourself, Benji. What's the inside line on Valtteri Bottas? I look at Alonso, put one back up the inside of Fernando Alonso on Lando. Look at him just widen out the corner for the switchback and then capitalising on. Fernando's just having fun, isn't he? Look at that. Go away, Bernie Collins, with your pure tyrant nonsense. Fernando Alonso wanted to overtake Lando Norris back. Stop with your boring tyre engineering nonsense. I did hear Lando. Crying game. What was I going to answer? There's a good question. Oh yeah, Bottas, Nate. So if you were Audi, okay, here are the drivers that Audi are considering for next year, if indeed, or 2026 when they come into to F1, if indeed that project does go ahead. Here's what I'm hearing. Bottas is still in the running, but they don't want to agree too quickly, because if Checo Perez is on the market with $20 million worth of financial resource a year, that, I mean, it's nip and tuck between who's the quicker driver between Bottas and Checo. It's nip and tuck, right? Same. Lost in the roundings is what the difference is. So then you would go for the driver that brings in the biggest financial resource, which is of course Checo Perez. So in the instance that Checo Perez is available, I think he might gazump Valtteri Bottas. And Valtteri's already said that he potentially on the table is potentially the Mercedes reserve drive. So I think that he's talking about that in public means that that's probably his most likely destination next year. Most likely. So Valtteri Bottas to Mercedes as a reserve driver. Checo Perez potentially if he gets binned off from Red Bull to Audi, or failing that, if Audi want to go big, then they have themselves Colapinto or Bartoletto. I feel like if McLaren would loan out Bartoletto, because again, remember they're preparing for Oscar Piastri potentially going over to Red Bull to replace Max. So a lot of ifs and buts, Nate, here, but bear with me. If Max Verstappen leaves Red Bull, then it's all too techie. There's too many threads, right? Anyway, to your question, Bottas has been, but Bottas probably won't be out. He won't drive for Audi, I don't think. I think it would be Checo. If not Checo, then Bartoletto potentially, if they can agree a loan deal with McLaren. Although McLaren don't want to let Bartoletto go because he's a good driver, particularly if he wins F2. Remember, currently running first in F2. If not Bartoletto, maybe Colapinto. So there's lots of ifs and ands and buts and maybes. Checo, they need the money, exactly. I think Checo's probably the favourite. 20 million. Wow. Lawson Colapinto. Oof. Yeah, with this Lando Norris thing and the right to review, 24 minutes remaining, and we get ourselves some proper running now. on the tyres that they'll be using for the race, for Pete's sake. But again, it's all muddy, isn't it? It's almost like you want them to do that first so we can see some proper times. Now you can't delineate between the times of the 2026 tyres as versus or 2025. It's just stupid. FI are just daft. Disrespecting fans all around the world since 1950. What are we doing, FI? Schumacher is probably done unless Mercedes put, yeah, I agree with that. They were talking about him, but I don't think anybody rates him. I think his time's finished, to be honest. Two for one of you watching concurrently, do me a favour and smash like. You like chess, I like chess as well. Max, I used to be a champion back in the day of my school, where there was like one other person that played chess. You should play chess, thinking 5 moves ahead, and it's with ifs. I do play chess, but I was never brilliant. But I did win championships at my school. The cheeky Queen's sacrifice declined. I never studied though. I could tell you like an Indian defence or the Sicilian, but I never got to the point where I'd recognise, I don't know, Kasparov versus Karpov in like 82 or like I was never the Dark Knights. There will always be one great Schumacher. I love that. Yeah, I never got to that level quite. 23 minutes remaining of this year FP2 session. Thank you for those of you who've stuck with me on this. Been a hard watch, a bit confusing. 23 minutes left of the proper stuff. But again, we can't see the times because it's all muddied in with these bloody... What are this? Stupid, man. F1 conduct their activities as if they don't want for fans around the world to know what's going on. It's like a closed door policy, isn't it? 243 of you watching concurrently, do me a favour, smash the like. There will always be one great Schumacher, though I don't disagree with that. Michael, nobody could do what Michael can do, right? It's different. I agree, the money counts. I'm probably wrong about Checo. Out now, but he should be. I think he should be. On meritocracy, if that's a thing in Formula One, the Checo absolutely should be gone. But money has to matter, right? And Audi, their current posture on F1 is very very reminiscent of Alpine. They don't know. All the bods, the senior bods who wanted Audi to be in, are now out of the company, gone to pastures anew. So the messaging across the Volkswagen group is very like, Porsche wanted to be in, but not as Porsche, and Red Bull wanted Porsche partnership, but it's all very murky, right? Red Bull wanted to partner with Porsche on a name brand deal and a bit of technical expertise, but the issue with that is that they didn't want to give up control to Red Bull, and Red Bull wanted to. So it's all like, it's all a bit techie. It's all a bit techie, Southern Tie. There will always only be one great Schumacher, don't hate it. My boxer dog's name is Shuey. I love that. And Dash Mexico's engine brake, a high altitude, thinner, lower O2. So they need to compensate with the cooling, don't they? But again, like I said, the issue is cooling and speed are on a graph. And as you move towards one, you kind of got to leave one. You've got to sacrifice cooling for speed. You just don't mess about with orange juice with bits, I'm telling you. Red Bull makes a car for Max and Max only. Do you think so, William? This is this is the same conspiracy tinfoil hat wearing that was condemning Tion for doing it. I just don't believe. Why would they do that? Losing the chat, okay, maybe for a little bit, but now that they're losing the championship, maybe Max had the fiddle break and Checo Perez wasn't good enough to. I don't believe it. I don't know. I think Max is just a bit quicker. New boots for Lewis. Let's go. We've gone on to a break on Sky. 174 of you watching concurrently as we are nearing rounding third base on this, your FP2. A very fractured FP2 stream, hasn't it? Not a big fan, if I'm honest. I feel like I should have just sacked it off and gone to bed. No, we've got to see if there's a car out, then we need to be talking about T-minus 20 minutes to the end of the session. Man, I would have loved to see Alonso in a Red Bull. Very nearly happened, apparently. 2010, it was very close. Bloody adverts, we knew that. I know, Alamosa. It's a bit daft, isn't it? Yeah. Tell you what I need to do over the weekend. I need to clear out this bloody room. It is an absolute SH1 t-shirt. Max is a better driver, so they need to exploit him, and Checo gets left behind. I think the point is that a quick oversteery car is a quick oversteery car, and whichever one of your drivers that style suits is whichever one of your drivers it suits. Adrian Newey always said that he'd build the fastest car and the best driver would be able to drive it. If Checo Perez lights himself an understeery car, then he needs to go elsewhere and find that, because that's not the quick. Adrian is never going to bend the knee to the slower driver in the, do you know what I mean? You're going to develop the quickest car. That's what you do. Six youngsters were in FP1. See, Albon might be replaced with Colapinto in 2025 if Fowles is serious about Williams being competitive. Thoughts? I don't disagree. Colapinto needs to do something though, like win FP2, right? FP2, F2. You need evidence in long form. 7th in F2, notwithstanding the fact that he's missed a lot of racing. I don't think he's going to cut it. Imagine it's nearly Christmas, guys, if you celebrate. That's incredible. Only a couple of weeks, only a couple of minutes ago, it felt like Christmas. I don't know what's going on. Life just moves too quickly, man. Got to enjoy it whilst we're here. Hug somebody that you love. Do you know what I mean? Take advantage. You only get one, some say. Then promoting all this Halloween stuff as well. Oh, way up. It's my my better half's birthday now that we've crossed over to 12 o'clock. I should try and do something good for her. Buy her some flowers or something. We are T-minus 17 minutes into the end of the session. 216 of you watching concurrently, but only 133 likes. That coefficient is worse than the W13's drag to downforce coefficient. Do you know what I mean? Science looks better in the Ferrari today. Yeah, he was on it. He was on it last weekend. Checo needs to be on a team with an understeer car. Absolutely. Mercedes, Checo would have been the man potentially, but that Mercedes hasn't been of it. That Mercedes snap oversteer to a snap understeer, right? That was the case that they gave the W13. Sadly, not been fantastic. Karan Chanda now pitching some questions at James Vowles about Franco Colapinto's, but everybody's talking about Franco Colapinto. Have you seen whirling dervish settings, force of nature settings, social media sensation settings, charismatic settings, Ayrton Senna looking settings? Okay, it's techie. It's techie. 187 of you watching concurrently, and I'm grateful ad infinitum to each and every single one of you. Genie, first thing I do when I come online is smoosh that like. Let's go, Genie. You're a legend. Absolute legend. Thank you so much for the continued support. Each and every single one of you, man, that come on here and support and argue and debate. Respectfully, as always, I'm grateful. T-minus 15 minutes and 53 seconds remaining of this session. It's a weird one, this. Feels like a sprint weekend. Most of these guys then have lost out on a cheeky free practice. Expect then, I think there might be a safety car this weekend, if I'm honest. I think it's going to get techie. David Croft asked the pertinent question to James Vowles. What are you doing as far as finding Franco Colapinto a drive for next year, chap? He's even ignoring Martin Brundle on the brig, so he really fits in. Brilliant. When Croft is like this, I don't hate him. Right, so if he doesn't get signed by somebody else, Franco Colapinto will be a reserve driver for Williams then next year. Teams are just talking, negotiating. See where it goes next year. New edging for Max means a grid job. Absolutely, I don't know. Don't know, Brad. I don't know how many times he's had. Maybe. I think they'll just add one to the pool. Didn't they add one to the pool earlier in the year? They did already. I think they added one to the pool already. It's Bar, I want to say. Franco replaced Albon. Bloody Nora. Convicted of it, aren't you, with him? Techie. 13 minutes remaining. The time in the UK is 15 minutes past midnight. Oh, the humanity. Do you know what I mean? He's already got one, yes. Yeah, he's already got one into the pool. It's a good shout, Derek. I remembered correctly, therefore. Yeah, they did one in Spa. They did, didn't they? It's weird when you're watching this stuff that you don't remember, but you do remember. T-minus 13 minutes remaining of this a dodgy FP2. Did I say that? I did say that they added one in Spa, didn't I? How did I know? My memory's so bad. I feel like I remember Horner talking about this was as good a time. Oh yeah, they did add one in Spa and they thought he was going to come through the field, but then he struggled because he couldn't overtake. Yeah, they did. It's been a long one, Benzier. I'm just out here flagging massively. Should we curtail it with 13 minutes? Good. No, we shan't. Hard work, dedication. If there's a car racing on track, we will be here, ladies and gents. Franco is back. Franco, you're convinced on you're sold on Franco, aren't you? You're buying what Franco Colapinto is selling. Going to be interesting. Just end it now, do you know what I mean? 12 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. But we're not learning anything because they're flipping muddied the waters. Run the separate session, Pirelli, if you're going to do that. What's the point? Separate tyres that nobody understands. Now I'm looking at the times and they're all from flipping 2025 tyre specs. Flipping Nora. I mean, it's too late for me to go scorched earth on the FIA and their noddy, their backward sensibility and lack of racing knowledge and bloody lack of rational mindedness. They run the sport as if they don't want anybody to watch it. Why would you have them do this stupid thing in FP2 running 2025 tyre specs? Why? I've had enough now. It doesn't make sense. Just stupid all the time. Why are they so stupid? Why? Why would they be so stupid? So you've got all these timings up on the right hand side of the screen trying to put together this bloody FP2 session. Do you not want anyone to watch FP2? FIA. Meant to be wanting people to watch this sport and then doing all this stupidness all the time. They just get on my nerves, the FIA. It's daft. But Pirelli, you couldn't put on another session so that we could watch some FP. Done. Finished. Second, Franco is from Latin America. I support all Latin American. Some would say, Franco, that you're the R, but I'm pulling your chain. So of course you got to back your own. Do you know what I mean? Waste of time. No, William, I'm cheesed off. I feel like I've been gazumped into watching this. That 50. Should work for Liberty Media. William, they wouldn't have me. I taught my mind too much, you know what I mean? It's like Franco took Albon's place and Albon became Logan Sargent. I said that earlier, didn't I? Supercat. Yes. Is that Supercat? Are you is that the reference that I think it's from? We're gonna have to have a discussion, Supercat, me and you. Supercat. Second, Mr. Cat, because we come to mash it up. Anyway, you come here for all and pull up. Listen, Mr. Cat, becoming well dangerous. Is that who you're referring to, Supercat? Only one of my favourite DJs ever. Keep going, chap. You're a legend, Ralph. Thank you so much. It's only practice. Agreed. Cameron, wouldn't you rather be slept? Mate, and Ash, don't even do it, chap. After the week that I've had, they've got me up here. I can't see the times. The times refer to the laps that they've done on 2025 specification. Like, honestly, Pirelli, bring back Michelin, do you know what I mean? Or Tyre Wars or something interesting. Because when I reached out to Mario, Mario Zola. I was like, mate, do you want to, I run a channel. It's called Cameron F1. And I'd love to have you on, Mario, and discuss some Pirelli. Do you know what I mean? Discuss all the circumstance of the tyres. And then I looked back at it and I was like, I lied. I don't want to talk about his tyres, to be honest. I wouldn't even have him on a channel if he accepted or respond. He didn't respond. He didn't accept, even though I know that he's been on other channels. Like, I don't care, mate. Don't really want to talk to you about your tyres. I want to see some fast cars on track. Supercat. Supercat is a killing today. I'm making that for fun. Killing today. 194. This is what we've resorted to with 8 minutes remaining. Now I'm singing Supercat. What's up with Max? Engine issues. So they're fixing that. Rachel Brooks said that it was a dead cert almost, that he wouldn't do any more track time this session. Fixing the car. I think they're desperate not to have to change the engine. Try to salvage the engine. If you know Supercat, I know, Chim. Don't say that. You can't put a negative slant like that on Supercat. Supercat. Who's your Chim? Are you familiar with Supercat as well? We've got a cheeky Jamaican contingent in this chat. I can see. You don't want to get, listen, Sting. I'd rather, than this nonsense where we can't tell what's going on with free practice, I'd rather be watching any of the Stings with Ninja Man. Ninja Man versus Shabba. All time. Don't mess about with that. Ninja Man versus not Frisker Kid. What's that other geezer name who came out in the Ninja Man seat? I can't remember him. Any one of those. Hamilton picked up some tape. I know I can see it dangling off his car. Hey, come on, I feel like Oscar's already peaked. Behave yourself, OVT, in his sophomore season. And now he's trying to escape Lando by potential. No way, OVT. It's only in his second season. He'll do one of these. I tell you what, don't fall victim of the recency bias, OVT. Don't do it. How about Red Rat, says Visual. Yeah, I love old school dance. Or Chim. We're going to have to talk about this, I'm telling you. Look at the big smile on my face. You guys have brought me back from watching this absolute nonsense show. 212 of you watching concurrently as well. T-minus 5 minutes. It has been a shambles. They've botched it. But what else at this stage would you expect from the FIA and the way in which they conduct their activities? Bloody Mario Isola and Pirelli getting involved. Nobody cares, mate. Bring back in-race fuel. Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad thing. Jim, go on. Let's have a conversation about old school dancehall as we are T-minus 6 minutes. Red Rat. So Red Rat I think Red Rat might have been my introduction into the scene, if I'm honest. Oh yeah, he has got tape on his car, hasn't he? That's better than Flovies. They need to start attaching those tape pieces onto the car. Cheeky look at Emo, the great man. Emerson Fittipaldi, what a legend. Wow, Crunchand that says he was in the gym at 7:30. Naomi in the tight up skirt. Kid. Visual referring to a classic Red Rat tune. Hey you girl in the tight ups. I can't even say these things on YouTube. Those lyrics are so littered with all types of things that you can't say anymore in 2024. The best thing about FP2, no Danica, Emerson Fittipaldi, but I don't disagree with that, Alamosa. But you might make an argument that Danica said something earlier. I was like, hey Danica, that's quite insightful, mate. I can't even remember what she said, but it was good. Like it was, I think she was talking about Max and Lando, and like she actually added some value. I was like, hang on. Oh no, she was talking about she's talking about IndyCar and the finish and the dude that lost Pato Award, wasn't it? Yeah, she was talking about that, and she knows. She's able to. I think Danica Patrick would be better placed talking about NASCAR and IndyCar. I think she'd be a god tier IndyCar commentator and a god tier NASCAR commentator. But I think she's here for the money, you know. Like I don't think she cares about Formula One necessarily. She can't talk to F1 specifically. When I heard her talk about the IndyCar finish with a plum and like nuance, and she knows because she's raced that. Like, do you know what I mean? It was hit different. Natalie's top after FP1 had Danica's special, says Eddie. Jeez, MAGA. Pato lost. Yeah, but he lost it on the fight. And it's a controversial. Did he go too early? Is what she was talking about. Yeah, Jordan. They hate her in NASCAR, yeah, because she didn't perform, did she? But yeah, no, when she talked about the IndyCar finish, like, she sounded like somewhat different to F1 Danica Patrick. She sounded like somebody that knew what she was talking about because she was talking from experience. Danica's the worst thing coming from the US after the. Oh my gosh. I say, Wallace, Budger Banton. Maybe I'm going too far. I don't know that first name that you said, Chim. And I go quite deep. Budger Banton. Shabba was my era. Here we go. Lando Norris, medium tyres. Crofty, nobody cares at this stage, you know what I mean? Not to be too negative, but flipping Nora. We are nearing the end of the session. Thank fudge for that. 2 minutes on the docket. And there are no takeaways because they've muddied all the waters as far as the timing. It's impossible to see whether Carlos Sainz set that time on the 2025 or 2024 tyres. Cheers, Formula One. Cameron, I disagree with you. That think you're letting your other opinion of her affect you on that point on her not caring. Maybe, Jordan. I just get it's just the impression that I get. You know what I mean? It's my subjectivity to which I'm speaking, and I might be wrong. You might be right, Jordan. I don't know. Danica Patrick might be a god tier as far as her F1 knowledge is concerned, but I just don't see. I don't hear or see it. Rather, Queen Patra, yes. Oh no, have they turned off my internet? Did they just turn off my internet, the bastards? I'm not having that. I feel like that. Oh my gosh, Visual. I can't even repeat that stuff. That's what I'm saying, Visual, and you've just tried to sabotage me. You can't even sing that stuff. That doesn't mean that I wasn't dancing to those tunes back in the day hard. And the other one where they're talking about From You Are Par in a something car. Like all of those songs. You can't talk. You can't even... I know, I'm going, Andash. I'm going. It's rubbish now, isn't it? T minus 1 minute and 4 seconds. And I am gonzo. Back fresh for tomorrow and a big day of qualifying. Energised, some proper stuff. Not this nonsense that we're seeing in FP2. The joke is, if it was FP2, mind funk, let's go. Welcome to the club. Get yourself onto the Discord community tab posting tomorrow. Welcome. FP3 will be interesting. So too will quali. 208 if you're watching concurrently. Enduring this SH1T show of an FP2. Thank you, each and every single one of you. Tomorrow will be sick. We will go proper hard for tomorrow. It will be better than what we've just seen now, particularly qualifying, for which I cannot wait. It will be good. I'd love to just read and dissect these numbers, but you can't. How do you know? You must need to take a snapshot of the times as at 60 minutes and then start again and do a snapshot of the times over the last 30 minutes so you can see the differential between 2025 spec tyres in the first 60 minutes and then 2024 tyres in the last 30 minutes. But Liberty Media and the F1 are never going to do us that favour, are they? And on that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go and get myself asleep. I'll be back 15 to 20 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes before quali, 15 minutes before FP3. And these guys are going to have to go hard, right? Proper due diligence settings, proper fact-finding settings, because at the moment it's feeling like a sprint race format. 210 of you watching in the concurrently in the chat. You guys are legends. Bert, me and you both. I second those sentiments. Mind Funk, welcome to the gang. You guys have been legends. I will see you tomorrow for FP3, a proper free practice session in stark contrast to what we've just seen what we've just endured for the last 90 minutes, and a proper qualifying for session, for which I'm sure we'll be all infused and back to F1 proper. You guys have been legends. Between now and next time, remember as always, prosecution rests no further questions, Your Honour.